It's a big thing, I think, with the Meloni government. Her partner in the coalition, Matteo Salvini, is similarly not inclined to champion green causes. Both of them have gone on record saying we think that green initiatives should be undertaken, but never at the cost of damaging Italian business. And so it's very much a kind of yes, okay, fine, but we're not going to take any hits on this. What's interesting is that this resistance to green policy is becoming a kind of a real characteristic for the rising right-wing politicians around Europe at the moment.
Yes,
Whether
yes.
it's Vox in Spain or that Dutch party that's rising very fast at the moment. What I've noticed actually that migration is less of a talking point for them, particularly for Meloni. That might be because she's been completely unable to stop migrants coming into Italy. So it's a bit embarrassing. So opposing green issues has become a more handy way of making themselves stand out from the big green hard hitters at the EU, like Franz Timmermans.
Yeah. First, the weather, though, and what weather? Extreme temperatures continuing to hit parts of Europe, China, America. The effects of temperatures over 50 degrees have caused evacuations and fires in some places. There are health warnings for entire populations. The Foreign Office has now issued warnings for Brits heading to Greece and Spain and Italy. In the USA, the weather's just as severe. Death Valley in California hit 53.9 degrees Celsius yesterday. So let's go there now as part of our lightning tour. I can talk to Danny Fordson, the Sunday Times West Coast correspondent there in the United States. Hello to you, Danny.
Hello, how are you?
So hi and well, Danny. How are you? How is America? It's big on the news bulletins there, isn't it? This freakish weather.
It is indeed. It is indeed. I'm out here in Oakland, so I am, about a mile from the Pacific Ocean. So blissfully, I am relatively cool, but I know a lot of other friends and folks that say in Phoenix where it's been 43 degrees for 17 days in a row. It's just really, as you say, scary.
And there are practical implications, aren't there, Danny, to this in terms of safety and the way people have to meet this freakishly hot weather.
Indeed. And I think one of the things where, if you just step back and look at it, and all of a sudden there's a thing called a cooling center that is now feels like it's going to have to be part of summer going forward, which is basically a big gymnasium or a tent with a bunch of fans blasting, cool mist just so people don't pass out because it's so hot.
Yeah. Now, what about the way it's being met and analysed and discussed there in the United States, Danny? Because questions of climate change, net zero, and so on, they divide opinion, and nowhere more than the USA.
That's exactly right. Now you have a lot of people saying, "Well, okay, this is just very clear evidence of climate change," and then you have others who say, "Well, look, if you go back to the '70s or even in the '80s, we've had other periods of very, very, very hot weather." But when you step back and look at, as you say, wildfires, freak tornadoes, storms, all of this stuff, when you look at it in the round, it does feel like perhaps something is different due to climate change.
Does that mean there's a change in the climate of debate? Forgive the use of that. The shift in the use of that word. Are we talking about a divide on the sort of on the red Republican, blue, the blue Republican, red Democrat sides of the argument?
It is, it is one of these. It has become kind of a culture war type debate. I do feel like it is shifting a bit, partially because the Biden administration passed this $1 trillion basically Green Jobs Act, the Inflation Reduction Act. So people are excited about what that can do for the economy, but it is still most, red meat Republicans just don't buy it, don't buy this climate change thing.
Yeah, and it's a great generalization, but not without truth. That Americans are very fond of their cars, and an awful lot of American
We
cars,
love our big
they
cars.
burn
We
their
love them.
gasoline.
We do. I mean, you just you drive around the streets here, and everybody's got their big pickup trucks that they use to drop their kids off, for the school run in the morning, and that's about it. They're not, using them like they do in the adverts, climbing up a mountain or anything. But it's part of the culture.
So it is. All right, Danny Forson, thank you for that insight into life on the west side of America. Now, let us cross over to Rome and talk to Tom Kington, Times correspondent. Hello, Tom.
Hello, hi.
Tell me, how's the story playing there?
Well, everyone's kind of gearing up to this week, which is meant to be the worst yet. So here in Rome, we touched 40 centigrade today. I think maybe 39. But in the next couple of days, meant to go up to 42, 43. That'll be a record for Rome, but that's nothing compared to Sardinia, where it could go to 47. Sicily, the same. So heading close to that record that was set for Europe in Sicily 2 years ago, which was 48.8 centigrade.
What does it mean then for just daily life? As you look out the window, there in the capital, is life going on as normal? Are people avoiding the streets? I mean, 40 degrees isn't unbearably hot.
No, I mean, where I work in the centre, there's a lot of tourists who unfortunately can't not leave their hotels because they're in town for a few days. They've got to see the Colosseum, they've got to see the Pantheon. So you get these sort of desperate sort of processions going past underneath my office window of tourists looking a bit like a sort of lost patrol from the French Foreign Legion. And they'll head down to the Trevi Fountain where they'll try and sort of wet their brows before they sort of go on and disappear into the haze. So it's fairly surreal out here at the moment.
I don't think you're allowed to jump into the Trevi Fountain, or maybe you are. I'm not sure. And what about the way it's talked about in Italy, Tom? I mean, I'm guessing that the Meloni administration is less keen to embrace climate change and policies that go with that. Is that right?
Absolutely, yes. So it's a big thing, I think, with the Meloni government. Her partner in the coalition, Matteo Salvini, is similarly not inclined to champion green causes. Both of them have gone on record saying we think that green initiatives should be undertaken, but never at the cost of damaging Italian business. And so it's very much a kind of yes, okay, fine, but we're not going to take any hits on this. What's interesting is that this resistance to green policy is becoming a kind of a real characteristic for the rising right-wing politicians around Europe at the moment. Whether it's Vox in Spain or that Dutch party that's rising very fast at the moment. What I've noticed actually that migration is less of a talking point for them, particularly for Meloni. That might be because she's been completely unable to stop migrants coming into Italy. So it's a bit embarrassing. So opposing green issues has become a more handy way of making themselves stand out from the big green hard hitters at the EU, like Franz Timmermans, and so it's one to watch. That
it is so one to watch. There's an element of irresistible forces meeting immovable objects. Because look, I'm going to be talking to a journalist in Greece in just a minute, but we're looking at migrant flows across the Med into Italy. Say the same thing for Greece, and in both of those cases, climate change is going to have more and more of an effect.
Right. Yes. I mean, that's the irony, is that if you try and sort of play down climate change, then you're ignoring one of the fundamental drivers behind migration, which is something else you're trying to stop. So there's all kinds of traps and pitfalls for these rising right-wingers right now.
How's it for you, by the way, Tom? There, are you getting by on chilled prosecco?
Yeah, well, I don't know about that. We've been told not to get drunk during the day by the town hall, because they just say that you'll regret it in the long term, and I think they're right.
Okay. Well, you've got to listen to the town hall. Tom Kington, good to have you on as always. Thank you. Now let's turn across to Greece. I can talk to Daphne Torres, who's covering the wildfires there, which have broken out near Athens. Daphne, hello.
Hello from Athens at the moment.
Yeah, indeed.
I'm trying to reach the area, at least one of the two major fires that are currently underway. One is near Loutraki, which is west of Athens, and the other one is southeast of Athens. That one, the latter one, started earlier today around 12:30 local Greek time. So firefighters have been trying to fight these blazes there. Most residents have been ordered. I mean, the residents of 3 local smaller towns have been ordered to evacuate the area because of the fires.
Yes.
Some houses have been burned. I'm reading on Greek news and watching on TV as well that there is a huge traffic jam in the area because the police have blocked off the roads leading to these little towns. The same thing with the national highway near Loutraki. It's closed on both directions of the highway, causing again traffic jams. That's because the authorities are trying to keep people away from the fire affected
Yes.
areas.
And tell me, Daphne, how has it affected? Look, this is serious destruction, wildfires. Obviously, the worry is will they go out of control? But what about the tourist trade in Greece, which is so important to the Greek economy? How has this affected that?
Well, these, especially in the fire, which is southeast of Athens, there's also hotels there. There's local, there's Airbnbs. There's people that go there for the day. There's people that might visit Sunio, the temple, the archaeological site in Sunio. So they are affected in that people who are in Athens might also visit this seaside resort, let's say, and there's some smaller and some bigger hotels in the area.
Yeah.
We've also had the heat wave last week up until Sunday, basically. Now it's a bit better, but it's expected to intensify again. So we had 3 days where the Acropolis was closed for a few hours in the middle of the day because of the extreme, the high temperatures that were across the capital in Athens and across Greece, but obviously, many more tourists will be in Athens to visit the Acropolis with a specific timeline and a specific schedule.
Okay, thank you for that update, Daphne. Wish you well there, reporting from near Athens. Daphne Tollis.